Alright, what's good everybody? It's your boy Akeen and welcome to today's blogs. I'm here to give you two blogs today. For this blog, I need to talk about my top 5 wide receivers headed into the 2013 NFL Draft. Starting at number 5, I'm going to go with DeAndre Hopkins out of Clemson. He's coming off his best season as a junior, over 1,400 yards receiving and 18 scoring touchdowns as a receiver. I think this could be a great addition for any team in the National Football League. He's a great receiver. Each year of his college football career, leaving early as a junior, he did improve each year. Over 300 yards as a freshman, and then over 900 yards, just under 1,000 yards as a sophomore, and well over 1,400 yards receiving, overcoming the shadow of Sammy Watkins. Sammy Watkins had a lot more notoriety coming off of his freshman season, but he had a little bit of a down year, and DeAndre Hopkins stepped up and be that premier receiver for the Clemson Tigers, an all-ACC selection. Now this guy, he's pretty agile, can give you some tough yardage after the catch, and he shows that he's a little unselfish because he could give you a decent ability as a run blocker to help the run game. And I like a lot about this kid. He's a great player overall. He can give you a good asset, being a run blocker and a pass catching receiver for any offense in the National Football League. Now, one thing that concerned me was his 40 time. He ran a 4.57 40 at the scouting combine. He needs to do a little bit better than that. I think the 40 yard dash is a little bit overrated, but still running a 4.57 draws a little bit concern. Also, he dances a little bit way too much, trying to evade defenders and trying to evade defenders to try to get open in his route running ability. And I think he needs to not dance so much because that delays pass games, and also even when he catches the football, dancing too much can make you go backwards instead of forward. I think he needs to be more of a straightforward player. Yes, make a couple moves here and there, but not way too much. He kind of goes overboard in dancing. But I still think he's a great overall receiver. At number 4, I'm going to go with Tennessee's Justin Hunter. Now, he has the prototypical height and size at 6'3", 220 pounds to be a good receiver, probably a number 1 receiver in the National Football League. I see him more as a number 2 for now, but he does have the potential to be number 1. Now, he had over 1,000 yards receiving this season, his best year as a volunteer. I think has the good size, and I think he can be fit well for any team in the National Football League. At number 3, I'm going to go with Cal's Keenan Allen. Now, I did like this kid a lot. He had over 1,300 yards a couple years ago in 2011, but this year he had a little bit of a down year, just under 800 yards receiving. And I really like this kid a lot because he has good hip flexibility, where he can sink his lower body and be able to give you good speed bursts and getting open in his routes, as well as catching the football and giving you some good yardage after the catch. I really like this kid a lot. He's agile, very physical ball carrier. But one thing that I drew a lot of concern, I mentioned before, he did not participate in the scouting combine, and the receiver position is very competitive this year. And the fact that he did not participate shows me that he is not a competitor, and that could draw a couple red flags for many scouts and teams, head coaches for teams in the National Football League. I thought he should have participated in that and tried to steal that number 1 receiving slot. If he had a good performance at the scouting combine, if he performed, he would have been definitely the number 1 receiver taken. But he didn't step up, and I was a little bit disappointed in that. Also, he doesn't really utilize his size and length as a pass blocker, and that draws a little bit of concern. That shows that he's a little bit selfish, unlike DeAndre Hopkins, as I mentioned before. Now, I'm going to head to number 2 and number 1. I had a little bit of a coin toss, but for number 2, I'm going to have to actually go with Tavon Austin of West Virginia. I really want to put him at number 1, but the reason why I had to put him at number 2 is because he's more of a slot receiver, limited to just a slot receiver. But he can become a return specialist punt and kickoff return. He did have a couple of returns as a Mountaineer in his career. He is an outstanding receiver. He ended up leaving his school as the all-time leading receiver, and he's a great all-purpose player. He had over 390 yards on all-purpose against Clemson in the Orange Bowl a couple years ago, and also he had a big game this season against Oklahoma where he compiled 572 all-purpose yards. This guy is a monster, and I really think he has a shot to be this year's Rookie of the Year. I'm still calling it, even though the Seahawks picked up Percy Harvin. I thought Seattle should have tried to aim to get Tavon Austin, and had Austin went to Seattle, I think Austin would have been this year's Rookie of the Year. Now, the Minnesota Vikings, they ended up giving up Percy Harvin, so they need to pick up that good slot receiver, and Tavon Austin can be that guy. They do have 2 selections in the first round. Now, at number 1, I'm going to go with another Tennessee receiver, Cordarrelle Patterson. Now, he's another all-purpose threat. He had posted a school record 1,828 yards all-purpose this year as a volunteer. Now, the one thing I'm concerned for him is that he only had 1 year of 1A college football. He played his first 2 years at junior college, and he only had high-level experience, even though it is in the SEC conference, but he only had that experience for just 1 season, and that was the big difference maker. I was a little bit concerned. I was trying to put him at number 2, but because he has a better size and more presence, he could be a slot receiver or a number 1 receiver, more an all-purpose player, just like Tavon Austin, but just a little bit more versatile and positioning him at different receiving slots, like the slot receiver as well as a number 1 receiver more on the outside. So I had to go with Cordarrelle Patterson, but that was still a coin toss, even though the experience goes to Tavon Austin. He's an excellent athlete, and both of these 2 players should be selected in the first round. I have a couple of honorable mentions. Terrence Williams out of Baylor. He's a great receiver coming off of his best year of his career. Also, Robert Woods of USC. I like him a lot. He could be picked in the mid-rounds. And Ryan Swoop of Texas A&M. He ran a 4.34 40. He would definitely be probably picked in the late first round. I think he could be a reach for the late first round and a steal in the late first round. And he could probably, at most, he would be picked in the second round. I think he's a reliable receiver, and he reminds me so much of Wes Welker. I think a team needs to snag this kid. He's an excellent receiver. Now, my sleeper this year at the wide receiver position, I'm going to go with Rutgers' Mark Harrison. Only because he had a good 40 time running a 4.4 40 at 231 pounds. Good size, and he has the speed. That is exactly what teams need. They need that size and the speed, and he can catch the ball good enough. So I think he could be a good late round draft gem steal coming in the later rounds 5 and 6. I think he could be a good, reliable player. Probably not number 1, but a good, reliable player because of that size and speed. He could be a good target for any quarterback in the National Football League. Now, next time I'm going to catch you guys is later on today, where I will give you my second top 5 video, giving you my top 5 tight ends. Thank you for watching this vlog. I'm your man, Akeem McCall. Be easy.